Okay. I had to switch devices and all that jazz. Sorry, you guys. Life happens sometimes. So let me know if y'all can see me. I'm going to check myself and see if you guys can see me. I don't know the situation of why that was happening. It's like, hi. Okay, you can see me? Awesome. Awesome sauce. If you can see me, that's all I want. Okay, this is cool. All right, so you know, I like to be situated before I come on, but yeah, life happens. So great. So y'all can see me, y'all can hear me. We can do this now. All right, so first things first, I want to say that this is a topic that has been requested highly from me about dating traditionally, dating as a traditional woman, and I definitely wanted to come and talk to you about this. Now, in this particular live, I'm going to keep it short and sweet. I have a list here. And if you're a sensitive person, if you know, have hang-ups about your baggage that we all have different types of baggage. Some of you have emotional baggage, some of you have psychological baggage, some of you have family baggage, some of you have poor decision baggage. If you're somebody that's not ready to be real, don't watch this live, because you're going to be offended and you're going to be angry. Now, for the rest of you that are ready to deal with reality on how to date, because I'm going to address women of all groups. I have women who are young, who are just starting out in life, that are saying there's no men, there's no traditional men. How do I attract the traditional men that are left on the earth? And then I have women who are divorced. That's a separate category in itself. So there's a divorce category, and then there's women who are just single moms. You never were married, you're just a single mom. And so each level has its own rules and its own way that you need to kind of navigate this thing, okay? So let me start with, you know, I've already talked about what a traditional woman is. If you have not watched that video, you can go back on my channel. I uploaded that live to my YouTube channel because I thought it was important to talk about characteristics of a traditional woman. So traditional women, we live by certain values. We hold ourselves to certain standards. We have certain morals. We believe in gender roles. We believe in, you know, everything traditional. We believe in trying to do things the right way. We believe in marriage. We're pro-family. We're pro-marriage, you know, and we just move a certain way that most of the world doesn't anymore. You know, I guess we're the anomalies of the world at this point. At some point, traditionalism was normal. People knew you date, you get married, you start a family, you do all that stuff. Nowadays, we have lots of different options. Even I'm a modern person, you know, in the way that I navigate my life. I have certain ideas for how I want to play out my life. I don't always think in this box. So I'm going to get to the divorce. I'm going to get to the divorce conversation. So I don't always do everything that's like stereotypically traditional. I think that God will lead you and God will tell you about the right thing to do well, when I say God will lead you, that doesn't mean you sit back and pray and wait for some heavenly angel to come touch your head. Like, people be trying to play Christian women like we're stupid or we're dumb or something. Don't do that. Like, no. I know there are people out here who say they're Christian who really aren't. They're not walking in the faith. They're not even trying. They're doing what they want, and then they say they believe in some mystical God. Like, this is not the channel for that. So don't come at me like that, okay? I just want to be clear. We don't just pray and sit and wait for God to sit a man on our lap. Like, that's not what we're doing here. We're actually going to be active and proactive about, you know, walking in our traditionalism, but also there's some things you need to think about. Now, the first thing, before I get into these categories of divorce, single mothers, things of that nature, I want to say that just in general, if you're a young woman just starting out in life, you need to lead by your character, okay? Not by your Instagram pictures, not by how good you think you look, not by anything that's superficial that most women have, okay? Most women have, we all got the same thing. So some women can lead with their looks because they're extraordinarily beautiful. Some women have great bodies. We know all of this. We know all the particulars of being feminine and how women have different qualities that make them beautiful and that make them stand out. Like, we know this, okay? But the most important thing when you are operating as a traditional woman is to operate by your character and your behavior and not by your mouth, okay? So when you meet men, and I'm going to talk about, environments that traditional men usually are in. Traditional men don't move like worldly men. I mean, they do. They're very similar. I mean, but there's a different environment in which you may find traditional men with all the women that I work with, as opposed to a man that just, he just does whatever. He believes in Jesus, but he don't really believe in Jesus. He does what he wants to do. So you will find men that say, I believe in God, but that's as far as it goes. They don't actually believe what the Bible says. They don't actually do what the Bible says. They don't care. They want to live by their own. And we've all been there, right? Like, we've all been at that point in our spirituality and still are in it, where it's like, I know it says this, but I want to do what I want. That's always going to be in us. We always going to be sinful people. So I think it's important. The number one thing is when you meet a guy, and I'll talk about places and divorced and single moms and all that stuff. But when you meet a guy, don't lead with your Bible under your arm as though you're some spiritual guru, okay? You need to lead by your character. How you talk to this man, how you introduce yourself, how you sit, what you're wearing. You can't look like a floozy and then say you're a traditional woman. It doesn't work like that, okay? My dad is saying, call me, y'all. Hold on. I'm just going to tell my dad and then I'm going to call him back. But anyway, you have to carry yourself as though and that doesn't mean like you wear a long skirt. Like, it just means that like, you need to look like a traditional woman. You need to look like a woman that wants to be a wife. Okay. Not a woman that wants to be in a Cardi B rap video. Okay. That's what you need to look like. You need to look like, I want to be somebody's wife. Not somebody's backup dancer or not an Instagram model. You need to look like you want to be a good woman, somebody's wife, because if you don't look the part, how are you going to attract a traditional man? I mean, when I was in college, I wasn't out here dressing like some floozy. Like, I was stylish, I was pulled together. Sometimes I got racy, I was young. But no, I never went too far with my dress. A traditional man's going to be automatically turned off by that. You go out here dressing like you are loose, like you just trying to portray it for everybody. Traditional men are not attracted to that. They may look, but they are not attracted to that, okay? So when you meet a man, nobody needs to know you're a Christian. You don't need to go meet a man. I'm a Christian. I'm a traditional woman. Close your mouth and act like a traditional woman. Okay. When I met my husband, we didn't start talking about how I was I'm a traditional woman and I want to get married. Like, no, we just met. I didn't know his father was a deacon. He didn't know my father was a minister. We were just two young people out here who had the same values. So we found each other. And I think it's very important to understand that you will find your person, okay? You will find that person. But a lot of women talk with this, but their behavior does not model traditionalism. And that's one thing from being with my man, been with him for 18, almost 18, 19 years now. We've been married 14. So probably like 18, close to 18, because we met in college. I mean, listen, you can't be walking around, I'm a Christian, and then when he gets in your car, you're listening to the City Girls. I mean, a lot of you women are very contradictory, and we've all been there. It's not a judgment, because some women are very sensitive, and I don't know why they follow me, because I'm not going to coddle you. Coddling you is not going to help you elevate to the point where you're able to get the things you want in life. I was never helped by someone coddling me and telling me lies. I was helped by listening to someone saying, you're too fat, go on a diet. That's the kind of people I listen to. You know, you're too fat, go on a diet, okay? You're getting older. Yeah, you think you're cute because your waist is small and you got a cute shape, but you're still too fat. That's what I like, because I don't need you to coddle me. I need my trainers and my coaches and the people that I look up to tell me the truth. And the truth of the matter is, a lot of you ladies are contradictory in your lifestyle, and you wonder why you cannot attract someone that has your so-called values. So you can't be contradictory. For the divorcees, you get grace in this area. When you are out and you start talking to a man and y'all start talking about your dating history a little bit after you get to know each other, well, you know, when was your last relationship, or, you know, whatever. You tell them right off, well, I'm divorced. You know, I'm divorced. You get a little grace for attempting to do it the right way, okay? So if you're a divorcee, make it clear, especially if you have children, make it very clear, I was married, okay? Because a traditional man, a masculine man, is going to be leery about taking on children that are not his, because that is a huge responsibility. And a lot of men will not, but we're not worried about those men, okay? Because single moms and divorced moms get married every day. I'm not saying they're getting married to the top. I'm not saying they're getting married to the low. They're different strokes for different folks. But you need to let men know, I'm divorced, okay? Especially if you have children. So that lets that man know, oh, okay, well, she tried to do it the right way. It didn't work out, whatever. Okay, just be honest, all right? Just be honest, I'm divorced. If you're a single mom, you never been married, you're just a single mom, now you already have a strike against you, okay? I know that, oh, it's so taboo to say, right? No, it's the truth. You do have a strike against you, okay? Because now that man is saying, oh, okay, well, she made some poor decisions that I can see up front. I can see that she did not marry the man that she had her children with, okay? So now you're going to have to exhibit the behavior that shows you learned you're supposed to have your children inside of marriage. You have to exhibit that behavior, all right? He knows you had sex. So trying to act like you're so, you're and that leads me to my second point. You know, you're harsh, you're judgmental, but you have a whole child out of wedlock. Now, how does that match? He knows you had sex, okay? He knows you have the visual proof, okay? You have the visual proof that you had sex before marriage. Now you want to be celibate, which is good. Shout out to all my sisters who understands they have to control their sexual behavior. Shout out to you. You are still royalty in God's eyes, okay? It is not sin that destroys us. It's not repenting of our sin, all right? It is not the sin that destroys us. Hear me. It is not your sin that destroys you. Sometimes it is. If you keep going. It is the fact that you won't repent and change your ways, all right? So he knows you had sex. So trying to act like you're some holy roller, telling men, I'm celibate, that should never come out of your mouth when you meet a man, okay? Not when you first meet him. Nothing about, I'm waiting till marriage. Nothing about I'm celibate. I never had a conversation with my man about how I'm celibate, I'm a virgin, which I was, I'm a virgin, I'm not having sex till marriage. No. That turns people off, okay? Because now you're trying to put him to your standard. And here's the thing, you're going to understand his standard as you talk to him. As you talk to him, you're going to get to know what he's about. And sometimes you can meet a man that really, he not really interested in celibacy. He might go to church. He might know, he might know God. He might be traditional. He might want to have a family, be a provider. He might want to be all of that. But celibacy really wasn't at the back of his mind. Like, oh, I should be celibate. I'm going to be celibate with this woman. But look at Megan Good. Megan Good is a perfect example. I know she was not celibate. Okay. But when she met that man that wanted Megan Good, and I'm not comparing us to celebrities. Y'all know we're not celebrities. We're not even close to celebrities. We have a whole different lifestyle. But when Megan Good met that man that wanted Megan Good, and they wanted the same thing, they was able to be celibate. So, but you don't lead with celibacy conversations, oh, you do, oh, you smoke, oh, you drink, whatever. I'm not saying date somebody who smokes, but I'm just saying, like, being super harsh and super judgy when you meet a guy because you think you're up here, you've been enlightened, and so now, I don't have sex anymore. You're all up here, but you're not, okay? Because if you're a single mom, he sees you're a single mom. So don't try to play that, okay? If you're divorced, he knows you've been divorced, all right? Now, if he also has children, it shouldn't be any problem. You can't judge somebody that has children. If he's been divorced, this is not an issue. But this is for the woman. If you meet a man and he does not have children, or he has never been married, and you feel that click there, you have to navigate that very carefully, okay? So don't come into, a situation where you might be getting to know someone and dating them, being all harsh, giving them Bible scriptures, just fall back on that. That's not how you build that attraction. Unless y'all meet in church and y'all both are saved. That's a different type of courtship. If y'all met in church and y'all are both already kind of at the same level, that's different. But if you're just out in the world, you're at your rifle, and I'm going to tell you where to meet traditional men. I'm going to tell you where traditional men are at, because I work with so many women. I'm going to tell you where traditional men are at. Let's say you're at the shooting range shooting, and there's a bunch of guys around. They don't need to know your whole Christian history, how you was brought to the Lord. Like, some of y'all are too churchy. Let Christ live in you and be that exemplar, okay? Don't walk around like you are so holy, and a man is going to be like, okay, you want Jesus to be your husband, or you want me to be your husband? Which one? Because God is always going to be at the top. You know that. Y'all know God is everything. We're here because of Christ. We're here to serve Christ. Before marriage, before anything else, that's what we're here to do. But fall back on all your churchiness, because that is not natural. That's not how we're naturally attracted to each other. We're naturally attracted to each other by physicality, values, and our hobbies and our interests. That's how the attraction builds. And so when I met my husband, we didn't talk about no church. We both grew up in the church, but I didn't know that. I just saw a guy that I liked. And I started talking to him, and he started talking to me, and it just went from there. Okay, so just be natural with it. Relax. Don't worry about if he's traditional when you first meet a guy. Now, you shouldn't be meeting him in the club. Okay, obviously. You shouldn't be meeting him, buying drugs, and then you talking about you traditional. Like, there's certain men you shouldn't be talking to regardless, because they're not traditional based on what they're doing or in the environment that they're in. All right, my third point is be clear about your standards and don't stray away from conversations about the future. Now, you may not even be in an official relationship with this guy. Y'all just might be getting to know each other, going to have coffee, going out to dinner. Maybe y'all do go to the opera, whatever you do. Y'all go to a cultural event, a concert, whatever. Be free to talk about what you want out of life. Make it in context now. Don't be just, I want a husband. I want to be married one day. Like, talk about it in the context of a conversation. So at some point, I don't know what point, but at some point, me and my husband just started talking about the future. Like, we never talked about kids. Now, that is totally honest. I'm going to be honest with you. Neither one of us ever talked about kids. It was just not something we ever talked about. But we talked about marriage. We always talked about marriage. I think we both knew we would both be married. So that was never an awkward conversation. Like, we knew we would be married, and we're also open to kids, but maybe not in the traditional way that people think you should have kids. So I'll leave that there. Celibacy and abstinence is two different things. Y'all can literally Google those terms. Celibacy and being abstinent is two different things. And I'll address that in a second. Let me stay on my y'all know I get lost. So when you're having natural conversations with a man, don't shy away from what you want. Don't shy away from that. Don't be like, oh, well, we're talking about marriage, so I don't want to tell him that I want marriage. If you want to homeschool your children, why would you shy away from that topic? Tell him what you foresee your future looking like. You will see from his reaction how he feels about that. Okay, and don't make a comment. Don't be like, oh, you don't. No, just listen to the man. A lot of times, us as women, we talk too much. Okay, and I know because I I can do that sometimes. I mean, I get on my husband's nerves so bad. Like I talk too much. Okay, so a lot of times we just talk too much. Just listen to the man. Listen to what he's saying. Look at his facial expression when y'all are talking about the future and, oh, what do you feel about marriage? What do you feel about children? Because these are important things. Who you have your children with is important. When you talk about these things, you should just listen to him. What's his facial reaction? What is he saying? Okay, and I'm gonna talk about the attraction and attracting a traditional man and where to meet him and stuff like that. But some of you ladies, you don't want to tell the truth. And that's why you get stuck in shacking up and having children when you shouldn't be having children because he's not your husband. That's how you get stuck in these situations, because you don't tell the truth from the beginning about what you want. And I don't want to use the word deserve. We don't deserve a good husband. If we get a good husband, that is truly a blessing from God. You don't deserve. I know these level up pages tell y'all deserve. Oh, I deserve it. I'm a woman. I have a feminine part that men like, so I deserve it. It doesn't work like that. Okay, this is not Basketball Wives. Okay, it doesn't work like that. So you need to understand, you don't deserve anything. You desire that. Okay, you desire a husband that's going to be faithful, loving, provider, all that stuff. Okay, but you don't need to shy away from hard conversations. Just don't be crazy about it. Okay, be normal. Say, yes, I want to be someone's wife one day. I would love to get married. Smile, be natural. Marriage is very important to me, because he needs to know that from day one that y'all say y'all will start being serious. He needs to know from day one that marriage is important to you, and you don't need to hide from it. But just don't be weird, because some of y'all are weird. Okay, you're too weird. Don't be weird about it. Like, I want to marry. Don't be acting like you want to marry him and y'all not in a relationship. Just say, for me in my life, I know I'm going to be a wife one day. I'm going to be a mom. I want to do this with my career. I want to have this kind of career, or this is what I'm working on currently in my life. Be honest. Just be honest, because when you're not honest, you may get yourself into a situation where you fall in love with a man that you shouldn't be in love with. Okay? So that's why you need to be honest up front, and you need to listen to this man. Talk less and do more listening, so that you can see how he feels about marriage and children, and what kind of lifestyle he's into, and what his values are. Yes, it's going to weed out those guys that you just don't need to be with. Okay. All right. The third thing I want to say is be clear about your standards. Now, women are always talking about standards online. This does not mean you go to your boyfriend and announce your standards. Okay. That's not how this works. I never had to go to my husband and be like, the standard is, if we have intercourse, is that, you got to marry me. Like, if you have to tell a guy that's not how you talk about standards. Okay. How you talk about standards is, when y'all get to the point where, if you want to be intimate, and this is why a lot of guys, traditional guys, they don't take traditional women seriously, because you say you're celibate. Okay. Meaning that you are voluntarily, abstaining from sexual relations. You say you're going to do that out of your mouth, and you don't do it. This is the biggest mistake you can make with a man. Okay. This is the biggest mistake. I'm not even getting to the spirituality part, because y'all know what the Bible says about sex. We're not even really addressing that. But this is the biggest mistake that women make. You tell a man, I'm not having sex. I'm a Christian. I'm a good girl, whatever. And then you have sex anyway. Well, now he doesn't believe you. Okay. He doesn't believe you because you went against your own standard. So that's why I would tell a man what you desire. I know sex is for marriage. That is what I desire to do. If he asks, if the conversation comes up, my desire is to remain celibate for my husband, and to be honest about why. You don't just walk around, when you start dating someone, you don't just walk around and be like, I'm celibate. He needs to know why you're celibate. Okay. He needs to know why. And so if you choose to have that celibacy, abstinent conversation with the man and you do it anyway, okay, well, you've lost a little bit of respect in his eyes. And a man is never going to tell you this. Vice versa, if you don't walk around telling men I'm abstinent, I'm celibate, and y'all do slip up and fall into sexual sin, well, now it's something different because you didn't walk around announcing how you know I don't have sex. You know, you walking around with your cape on, announcing that you don't have sex, and now you've done it. And this is different, but it's different if you slip up. And the truth is, a lot of women are going to slip up. A lot of good women are going to slip up, especially when you're young. I don't expect 35 and over women, 35 and over and older women to be slipping up. You are too old to be slipping up, okay? You 35 and up and you cannot keep your legs closed, you need to go to counseling. Okay, this is really aimed at my younger girls. You're 18, you're 19, your hormones is hot, you know better, but you might have slipped up and done something that it doesn't sit well in your heart because it's a heart issue. And so you can correct yourself and be like, listen, if this is how you want this to keep going, we got to get married. It's plain and simple. At that point, once you've slipped up and taken that slippery slope, you have to be very clear that this is the direction that this relationship has to go is. But do you see now how you're caught up now? Because now y'all have a sexual relationship. Sex changes everything in a relationship, okay? It changes everything. And so this is why you want to abstinent, being self-enforced, restraint. You want to have that restraint, not announcing it with your mouth, but with your character, because once you start in it, and I've seen it time and time again, it's going to be hard to get off that slippery slope. It's going to be hard to get off that sexual slippery slope once you start doing it. So young girls, I feel you. I understand. I know you may have made a mistake. That this is for the women in their 20s. I'm talking to you right now, women in your 20s. You might have slipped up. You might not have been taught. You might have made a mistake. It's okay. You can start over again. You can do the right thing for yourself. Because sometimes we don't make good decisions when we're young in various areas, not just this area. 35 and up. Get your life together. You're supposed to be the role models at this point. You are too old to be sleeping with all these men, okay? Get your life together, 35 and up. Y'all are part of the biggest problem of why we can't reach back and help the young girls. Y'all are the problem. Generation X, y'all are the problem. Them late 30s into your 40s, y'all are the problem. Because you need to get it together. But for the young girls, y'all are learning, you're growing, learn from the mistakes of your aunties and your grandmas and all the people that are not where you want to be in life, okay? All right, next point that I want to make is show those traditional qualities and let those shine. All right, there's nothing that you could do better than exemplifying traditional qualities. Traditional qualities are submissive qualities. And here's the thing about being submissive. It's not you're a doormat. Do y'all think I'm a doormat? Do I look like I'm a doormat? But I'm also not walking around cussing people out, okay? So what we have to do is cultivate our femininity a little bit better, all right? We need to show the best of our personalities and not fake it. We need to practice so that it becomes a part of who we are as women, all right? Controlling our anger, controlling our tone of voice, something that we all have to work on as women, especially, I didn't want to say it, but especially Black women. I'm just going to say it. Get mad. I'm sorry. Just get mad. Especially Black women, okay? Because you already have love and hip hop and, you already have, all of this, the images that are put out there about Black women don't help with the stereotyping of Black women. So you already got that on your back. So that's why you really have to cultivate a calm, peaceful demeanor, so that when men are interacting with you, they can't see that feminism, because masculine men aren't attracted to feminism. They're just not. They're not attracted to modern day feminism. And so you really need to learn how to speak to people, how to count to 10 when somebody is trying it, how to be kind, how to be generous, how to make people feel special and make them feel good. These are qualities that really makes a man marry you. Okay, it's not sex, it's not your degree, it's not the qualities that make a man marry you, is how you make a man feel. And he needs to know that you would be a good mother for my child. He needs to know you will be a good steward of the finances. He needs to know that you would be loyal and faithful in the marriage. He needs to feel that. That's what's going to make him propose. He needs to really feel that you're trusted, So, that's why it's very important to showcase those traditional qualities, that softness, because it's hard for some of us to be soft. Even me, at a certain point in my 20s, I noticed I was getting so hard. I was like, why am I so hard? I didn't grow up like that. Like, why am I so hard? Like, because it's your environment. It's your ghetto friends. You got to let go of them ghetto friends. You got to let go of the ghetto. Let it go. It's that movie, them urban movies you're watching. It's Love and Hip Hop. It's Atlanta Housewives. Turn all that stuff off, because you think it's just entertainment. But what it's doing is it's seeping into your spirit and it's seeping into your soul. I'm not saying you can't watch an episode here and there if something's interesting, or you want to use it as a clip, or you're just bored, because obviously people like to be entertained. But when you set your DVR for Love and Hip Hop or Atlanta Housewives every week, I don't think you're a feminine woman. I just don't. You can't pour that trash into you every week and then be able to pour out good things, because they're wagging their finger and cussing people out and fighting and jumping on tables, and that's not what you need to be consuming. And even the hip hop music for the young women, limit how much hip hop you're listening to. Limit that Cardi B and that City Girls and that stuff, because it's making you masculine. Okay, all that, them singing about their private parts, and even Beyonce's ghetto now. She's ghetto. She's not really ghetto in real life. She's ghetto for y'all, because she knows that's what y'all like. She says to herself, she sits in the bed with Jay-Z and she says, I'm gonna release this for the blacks, because they're gonna love this. And they're gonna do 1 million TikToks for me, because they want me to say this degenerate stuff. And that's why she can't make nice music for y'all, because she knows that y'all really want music that you can twerk to, because black women love to twerk so much. Y'all love to twerk so much that white women do it now. So everybody loves to twerk. Y'all got every other race now just like mimicking y'all. But here's the thing. They're beating you in the dating market and in the marriage market. People want to know, why do you talk about marriage so much? It's not about my marriage. I'm an old lady now. This is not about me. I am going into my middle-age phase of life. Okay, I might be exaggerating a little bit, but you know what I'm saying? I'm old. My day is over. This is for the young women. This message is for you. It's not for me. I got what I need. This is not, I used to tell my students that. This is for you, boys and girls. This isn't for me. I have my education. You're trying to get your education. I have what I need, okay? So a lot of women get offended by what I'm saying, but I'm trying to help you. I'm trying to help you that these artists, these entertainers, they're not helping you with cultivating your femininity. The city girls can't help you, okay? You need to minimize listening to that trash, because it's making you masculine, all right? It's really making you, like, you think you're feminine because you look feminine, because you got a pretty face and a pretty shape, and you can hold a teacup, and you can hold your champagne flute, and you think you can mask all of this trash that you're putting into you, which is the music, the movies, and all that stuff. You can't do it. You got to limit that stuff. So you have to model those traditional qualities so the man can say, oh wow, I could see her as my wife. I definitely could see her as the mother of my children. She's going to be so nurturing and so loving and so giving, and this is who I need to marry. Okay. All right, the last point that I'm going to make, and then I'm going to talk about single mothers again, and the divorce, and the young girls, and I'm going to talk about where to meet different men at different ages from the women that I work with. All right. So the fifth thing is to pay attention to his behavior, his interest, what he values, and his hobbies and his spending habits. Okay. Traditional men are not flashy big spenders. They're not. You know, I mean, my husband has an affinity for designer sneakers, designer shoes, but, and he likes nice watches. He likes nice things, but he's not a flashy person. And if you really go online and do research and look at traditional men, you know, they're not flashy. They're just not flashy people. You know, they're not trying to get attention. They want to live a low-key life. You know, they're strong. They have very clear ideas for what they believe in and what they want in life. And if you're with a big spender, I mean, I don't know how he's going to provide for you, because most of us aren't rich. I mean, you just can't be a big spender and be able to provide for a family. We're not speaking of basketball wives here. We're speaking of like normal folks that have normal lives. Like, he has to understand money. So I would look at his spending habits, because a provider is probably going to be tighter with his dollar. That is not to say he's not going to pay for your dates or, you know, do nice things for you. My husband always did nice things for me. He always took me, even in college, he always took me on dates. We used to go to the Olive Garden because I worked at the Olive Garden. So sometimes he would take me. My favorite restaurant was Carrabba's, and sometimes he would take, this is when I was in college, and he would take me to Carrabba's, and we would eat our meal, and it would be just so sweet. And, you know, this is when you're all, you know, you're full of butterflies and all of that. And it was just very sweet how he always like did little things for me, and he always bought me little gifts. Like if he went on a trip, he would bring me back a gift. And I mean, he was very generous and very giving, but he was never like flashy with money. He was never like somebody that I listen, if we had a spending competition, I'm always going to win that. And that's also a flaw in us as women. A lot of us don't know how to manage money. Okay. And a lot of relationships are destroyed because as women, we are supposed to be able to exhibit self-control and guide our husbands and help our husbands in the area of finances, especially if we expect them to afford us with a certain lifestyle. We have to be knowledgeable about finances and how to run a household. And so that was one of my biggest flaws when I first got married. Like, I didn't know how to run a household. I mean, I had parents, but my parents never sat me down and was like, yeah, and this is how you run the household. You know, I had my own career, and I was just like, okay, I got money now. I just, you know, a lot of times when you're young, you don't think about these things. And so start thinking about money management before marriage, because that's going to help you when you partner with somebody so that money does not destroy your marriage. And y'all say y'all want a hard worker, a provider, a high value man. Well, these are men that are probably not going to be wasteful with their resources. And so you do need to keep that in mind. His interests, you know, what is he interested in? I don't even know how some people date some people. How do y'all date these men that have no interests and no hobbies outside of like just going to the movies? Or, you know, a lot of traditional men like to do things like golf. They like golfing. They like to go to the gun range. They might be into video games, which is fine as long as he's not like, as long as video games doesn't affect his like lifestyle. He's not missing work to play video games. You know, they might be involved in video games. What are his hobbies? Are they trashy hobbies? You know, what does he do? Because traditional men really navigate in a certain kind of way. And so they like hunting and sports and, you know, like I said, golf. My husband loves to play golf. He got into golf and he likes to play golf. And, you know, they like to do these things that are manly and fun and masculine, but not like club. My husband hates clubs. You know, and we've been to clubs, and like in college, sometimes there'd be a party and we would go to a party and he would just be miserable. He hates clubs. He hates parties. He was always really conservative. You know, you're looking for a man that's kind of conservative in his lifestyle. That kind of helps you understand how to date as a traditional woman, because you're looking for somebody that is going to be responsible. And so he never liked clubs. He never liked that stuff. He always was kind of I guess some people might say square, but you know, y'all want swag. Y'all don't want square. Y'all don't want stability. You want swag. And not to say he doesn't have swag, but I'm just saying, like, that's not what I was looking for. I mean, I wasn't out here dating looking for swag. So I think you need to understand, like, you're looking for certain qualities, and it's not like how much does he spend and what does he do. You're looking for somebody that's really going to be a stable person in your life and that's responsible. So I would look at his interests. What are his values? Does he lie to you? Does he tell you the truth? You know, traditional men, you know, they're not big liars. I mean, they just kind of tell you how it is. They might not reveal everything if they know you're a nagger, but they're not really big liars like that. I mean, they just kind of tell you how it is, and that's it. You know, do they their family? Do they have a family? You know, learn about that family background. That's important. And yeah, so now I'm going to talk about where to meet traditional men. And then if you want me to answer a specific question about being divorced or single moms and, you know, how you navigate certain things with that, I'll answer some questions and then I'll get out of here. But traditional men are at places where they're doing things that they like to do. And that's why I'm really pushing things like hunting. I really think you ladies should learn how to shoot guns. Lots of conservative men really love shooting and doing things like that. The gym, and I'm not talking about Planet Fitness, but like, you know, a good gym, you know, because they like to take care of themselves, you know, and so I think a gym is a good place. I think you need to get involved in your community. You know, you need to be a part of your singles group at church. Yes, you need to be a part of a church. It doesn't need to be a black church. It could be any kind of church. It could be a mixed church. Me and my husband, we haven't been to a black church, like an all black church, in years. When we were in the States, we always went to a mixed church. And the reason, I think, is because they have lots of different activities that I think are impactful for the community. And so you want to join your singles groups. You want to have a hobby. You need hobbies. How are you working out in your community? How are you going to meet men if you're not out in your community meeting men? Okay, so you need to have an active social life. And I know if you have kids, you might have to, you know, manage that. But if you want to get married, you'll find a way to have an active social life. You'll get a babysitter, or you'll ask you'll get a babysitter, or you can ask a family member. But you need to have a social life. You can't date without having a social life. I mean, you might meet a guy in church. I want to put that at the last part of the list, because a lot of these men in church sometimes aren't what they are presenting themselves to be. So you could find a guy in church. I'm not saying you can't, but I'm just saying, like, a lot of men, you know, people don't go to church like they used to. So I put that on the end of the spectrum. You know, don't just be looking in church. You need to be out in your community, going to galas, doing volunteer work, finding a hobby that you love that's not so female oriented. It's okay to do those female things, like have like high tea and female hobbies that you may think are sewing and knitting, like all that stuff. You need to find hobbies that men like to do. Okay, tennis. Do something different. Think outside the box. I think a lot of you ladies don't think outside the box, but from working with women, I've learned that you really got to put yourself out there in today's society, because there are not a lot of high quality men. They're just not. And so it is going to be a competition, and it's going to be may the best woman win. When it comes to dating, it's going to be may the best woman win, because there's so many women. There's an abundance of women. I'm not saying they're good women, but there's an abundance of women out here, and there's not an abundance of men. Can you please expand on other hobbies? I like to go to concerts, dancing, and playing the drums. Okay, so I should have wrote a list of hobbies. I really should have. So golfing is a great hobby that I would get into. I would join a golfing group. Golfing is expensive, so you gotta have some money, because golf is not cheap. It's actually something that costs money. So let me think about the hobbies. I'm gonna get back to that one. The symphony, going to the orchestra. You need to basically what I'm telling you is step outside of your box. Step outside of your box and do other things. Now, for the women who are in college, this isn't a problem for you. You're already involved in the community. I pledged when I was in college. We did all kinds of things. You're already, for college students, this ain't a problem for you. There's a number of activities that you can do on your campus and around your campus. Now, for you grown women, you're going to have to step outside of your box and actually find some new hobbies. Let me see your questions. I will explain on the hobbies. I think playing the drums is interesting. If there are any clubs where people get together and do that, that's actually very interesting that you enjoy doing that. Can a woman cultivate a high quality man? I think that a man could. Do you mean like a man that has potential? Are you speaking of potential, Cat? Like a man that's like you could see some good qualities in him, but he's not quite there yet on your level. Can you expand on that question a little bit? Definitely agree with getting involved in the community. Yeah, get involved in your community. I'm not trying to be funny, but for those of you women who are conservatives, that is a great place to meet traditional men, because most traditional men, Black, white, Hispanic, are conservative or Republican. Now, if that bothers you and you just feel like I can't because Trump, well then listen, you can stay single. I mean, that's all I can tell you. A lot of traditional men are conservative. I'm not saying there are no Democrats that are traditional, because a lot of Black people are kind of taught to be Democrats, and we don't really steer from that. But there are a lot of men of all races who are conservative and who are Republican, and they marry other conservative and traditional women, and that is facts. Those traditional women have no problem getting a ring on their finger, and that's in those circles with politics and conservatism. So if you are conservative women in this group, I would get involved in my local community and meet some conservative men. Yes, I believe I was fortunate to be able to cultivate greatness. Oh, yes. Now, once you get married, or even when you're dating, my husband is not the same man he is now. When I was dating, he was young. He was finding himself. We got married so young. So I think as a woman, you can cultivate greatness in your man, but he has to have the base layers of character, morals, and faith. If he has the base layers of, he believes in God, he doesn't mind going to church, it doesn't bother him, but he may not be on your level spiritually, but he does reverence God, then I think that's a great place to start. If he has character, you're starting at the basics, and you can grow from there and expand, because he's going to see the woman that you are, and you're going to inspire great things in him. So definitely, as wives, we cultivate greatness in our husband. We're inspirational. Should a woman wait to be asked out or make the first move? Okay, so this is a great question. I don't look at it as making the first move, okay? When I met my husband, we were at a friend's house, a mutual friend's house. I used to sing a lot, so I used to hang out with the choir. And we were at a mutual friend's house, and I just introduced myself. I was like, hey, and we just started talking, and I actually just gave him my number. I don't have a problem with a woman starting up a conversation with the man. Like, a man doesn't have to walk across the room and approach you for a relationship or a conversation to start. The problem is you cannot pursue a man. You have to put the bait out and see if he's going to reciprocate. Yes, you have to position yourself, okay? So there is nothing wrong with saying, here's my card. After y'all introduce and you're talking and you're having that conversation, you could say to him, here's my card, here's my card. I would love for us to, keep in touch. Don't say I want to go on a date. Don't say I want to have a drink. No, because now you're asking him out. You're asking him out, okay? Just give him your card, give him, and say, I hope we can keep in touch. If he wants to take you out, he's gonna call you. If you don't hear from him, he don't want you. You know what I mean? So I think that as women, all this teaching women don't chase men, I think we need to get specific about what that means, not chasing men. You have to position yourself for a high quality man. Do y'all understand how many women want a high quality man? I mean, do women not understand this? There are a lot of women who want a high quality man. So why would women think they don't have to position themselves to get chosen? Of course you have to position yourself to get chosen. I mean, I'm not, but that's not chasing the man or, asking him out, but that's just positioning yourself so he knows, oh, she's sending choosing signals. She likes me. She might be interested. A man likes to feel comfortable in that, but he wants to do the pursuing. Really, a real man wants to do the pursuing. He doesn't want you to pursue him. It turns him off. All right? He doesn't want you to pursue him. All right? He really doesn't. He doesn't want you to pursue him. He wants you maybe to position yourself. He wants to know you're interested, but he doesn't want you to pursue him, because as soon as you start pursuing him, you're going to turn him off. Honestly, you're going to turn him off. Traditional men, you're going to turn him off. So he doesn't want you to pursue him, but he needs to know you like him, like that you're interested. So as far as the hobbies go, all I'm telling you ladies is pick what you like, but stretch yourself outside of your comfort zone. That's all I'm saying. Stretch yourself outside of your comfort zone. If you're divorced, say you're divorced, okay? Divorced, honestly, is better than just saying I'm a single mom. I'm sorry if that offends y'all. I'm sorry if that offends anybody. I'm just being honest with you about the hierarchy of things. So that's why you want to look good, feel good, and empower yourself to deal with your baggage, let the baggage go, so that you can date in a way where you can hold your head up. So if you're divorced, it's better to say, I'm divorced. Yes, and I have 2 kids. Don't lie. Don't lie about having children. Traditional men don't like liars. They're not interested in liars. Just say, I was divorced. I was married, but now I'm divorced, and don't ever talk about your husband negatively, because that is, even if he was the most terrible, your ex-husband, even if he was the most terrible man in the whole world, it makes you look bad because you chose him. So that's not going to get you brownie points by telling a man, well, he was terrible and he did this and he cheated on me and he blah, blah, blah. You think it's making you look better, but it's not making you look better. It's making you look bad. So just don't say nothing about your ex. He can learn about all that stuff later on if y'all become exclusive and you want to share your story with him. That's fine, but at the beginning, don't say nothing negative. Just say we're co-parenting, or we're not. I have custody, and just move about your business. Don't say nothing about your ex. They don't care. They don't want to know about your ex. Just don't say nothing. If you're a single mom, you need to carry yourself with even more character and class and dignity, and so that you're not in the stereotype that people like to box single moms in that have not been married, because there is a stigma to that. Even though it's very popular, most Black women have children out of wedlock, especially in the Black community. It's a very popular thing for people to do now. It doesn't mean that it's not a stigma in certain communities. There is something called classism, y'all. It's not racism that's one of the biggest problems. It's classism. And so you do have to understand classism, and that some people are going to think that's taboo. They're going to be like, that's taboo. Doesn't mean you're less than. Everybody makes mistakes. I'm just telling you how it works in the real world. So there is classism. So you do have to navigate yourself at a very high standard when you are a single mom, because you don't want to be put into the box of, oh, she's just another one of those single moms. You don't want a man to look at you that way. You want a man to see you as, oh, okay, well, she had a kid. Everybody has a past. Everybody has a past. But look, she's a good woman. She's a good woman. I can deal with this. I can deal with this. And so you want to navigate that in a very, very careful way. And how you conduct yourself and how you carry yourself, how your kids behave, all of that is a huge factor in attracting high quality men. And so this is not like, oh, you're a terrible person. No, it's not a personal conversation. It's just that, oh Lord, I didn't click myself up. It's not a personal conversation. It's just there are certain ways people think in certain societies, in certain classes. And so I know you guys want the best possible man you can get. So you have to think about all of your baggage. Not saying your kids are baggage, but like all of the things that we've been through in our life that we're carrying into relationships. And so you do have to think about that when you're dating. So if you don't get along with your ex, you need to heal yourself from that. If you are angry about a past relationship, you need to get healing about that. You need to get counseling. If you know you have an anger problem, you need to get therapy, okay? If you know you are not feminine because you were not taught, you need to get help. You need to get a coach or see a therapist. You know, if you know you don't know how to speak well, you're not confident in the way you speak. If you know you need to improve your style or your image, you need to work on all of that so that when you go out here and you're meeting men while you're doing your hobbies and living your life and doing you, you feel confident in yourself when you meet men. And I think that's it. I think one person had one more question. I've been talking to a man for a while. We both like each other. And today he said to me that next week he has some days off. How do I respond to that? I would say, oh, it's nice that you have some days off. You know, I mean, he didn't ask. What did he ask you on a date? I don't understand that. Why would he just say he has some days off? He said to me next week he has some days off, but he didn't ask you anything. How do you feel about that? How do you feel that he didn't ask you anything? Why didn't he say he has some days off and can we get together for coffee? Can we get together for dinner? Why didn't he progress with the statement? So maybe I would just text back and say, oh, that's great. Yeah. He didn't ask you anything. Did he ask you on a date? I'm confused. I just got some days off. Like, what does that mean? Okay. So I don't know if you're still here, Rachel. I'll wait, but he didn't ask you on a date. So I would just say, oh, cool, or that's great. He didn't ask you anything. He didn't say, let's get together. I don't know. Where is he going with that? I find that some men don't really know how to converse with women, but that's a great comeback, Kim. Yeah, and we're trying to find men that can really converse with women on a decent level. I mean, men aren't the most wonderful communicators to begin with, but I mean, at least he needs to know. Yeah, he wants to pursue her, but he didn't ask her anything. He was just like, I have some days off. So I'm just like, if you want your man to be a leader, then you should be pushing him to be a leader even in the dating phase. Something I really didn't know when I was dating, but I've come to see that you really should. Yeah, it seems like he wants you to suggest something, but I wouldn't suggest anything. I would say, oh, that's nice. Great. Now ask me what you want to ask me. Does he want to because if you're like, yeah, let's get together, then did you ask him? If you're comfortable with that, if you don't mind saying, okay, well, you want to get together, if you're comfortable with that. But I'm just confused as to why he wants you to, what? He wants you to suggest a date? He wants you to plan? I mean, what does he want? Telling me you have days off is not telling me anything. So, I mean, I would just be like, oh, I wouldn't make a big deal out of it. I would just be like, oh, okay, that's cool. Now ask me something. Ask me, he is traditional but very lazy. Yeah, so you're going to have to force with your gentle nature for him to be the pursuer. Because if you don't kind of like stand back and let him be the pursuer, then you're going to be pursuing in the marriage too. You're going to be leading in the marriage too, and you're not going to be happy. Yeah, if you start off leading, you got to keep leading. So that's why I wouldn't suggest anything. I would be like, oh, that's great, good to hear. Now ask me out. If he can't ask you on a date, then I don't see how he's going to lead a household. I feel that is how this guy at my job is consistently goes out of his way to start a conversation and help with moving, picking up boxes, asking about my weekend, yet he has yet to ask me out. Listen, some of these men might be traditional, but it doesn't mean that they're the man for you. And we do have to remember that. Just because a man is traditional, doesn't mean he's the man for you. And so we do have to be willing to let men go that he ain't for you because he's not pursuing you. And I'm not saying begging you out, like you're positioning yourself. You could be flirty. You know, the one, Andrea, you said he helps you like pick up the boxes. Have you flirted with him? You could be flirty. You could smile and be like, oh, you're so strong. You know, men love to hear stuff like that. Oh, you're so strong. Look at your muscles. I tell my husband that all the time, and I really mean it. I'd be like, oh, babe, look at your muscles. I still do that as a married woman. Like, I be rubbing his muscle like, oh, look at you. You're so sexy, babe. You know, like, don't say you're so sexy if y'all not in a relationship. But you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm saying, like, you could flirt. Let him know you're interested. Like, it's nothing wrong with letting the man know you're interested without going too far. Okay? You're not trying to be the pursuer, you know, you're not trying to be chased per se. You're not trying to, no one should be chasing anybody. It should be a natural attraction where you're building to something. So men really shouldn't be chasing. That's not a confident masculine man. And a woman shouldn't be chasing. A man should be pursuing. Pursuing and chasing is two different things, okay? So he should be pursuing, but not chasing. But you should flirt. You should flirt with him. Let him know you're interested. Maybe suggest that you are too, and see if he asks you if you want to do anything. Yeah, that's a good idea, Hair Candy. I like that idea. She said maybe tell him, oh, yeah, I'm off this day too. Now you put the ball completely in his court, and he can ask you out on a date. I make it clear that I'm interested. He helped me with the box, and I said, that's why you in good shape. But again, I didn't want to seem too desperate, but he still didn't ask. Well, then, you know, then on to the next, Andrea. On to the next. And he asked me for advice when he needs to buy something or arrange administration, and all of this confuses me. Kim, how do you differentiate between friendly man versus a man who is genuinely interested? Listen, ladies, and I guess I'm gonna answer this and then I'm gonna get out of here because I've been on an hour. I think like the biggest thing is you don't have to wonder if a man likes you. You're gonna know that, okay? You're gonna know that because you're not gonna be able to get rid of him. Like, even if his schedule is busy and you can't see him for a week, he's always going to check in with you, send you short little texts. Not always, but like, you know, he's going to like keep in touch and keep building the foundation. He may not be chasing you, because chasing is not an attractive quality for a man or a woman. I know women want to be chased like in the movies, but that's not an attractive quality for a man. It's not very masculine. You know, a masculine man really doesn't have to chase. He can pursue, but he has options. So he shouldn't have to chase a woman, you know. But I think that you know when a man likes you because he's making time for you, even if that's once or twice a month because he's busy or he has a really hard work schedule. You can't expect a man to be available to you all the time to talk like a girl and call and text you every night and take you out every weekend. If a man is really working on himself and he's like a go-getter, I mean, he may be busy. He may can't text you good night every night. And I don't think a woman should really require that of men, that they want to provide. I think if you want a man to provide, you need to understand he's busy. He has a schedule. He has his own life, his own hobbies, and you should have your life and your own hobbies. But how you will know if he likes you as opposed to like really wants you is that he's going to tell you. He's not going to try to hide it. He's going to be like, I really like you. I want to get to know you better. He's going to, he's going to plan a way for y'all to get together. He's going to call you sometimes. He's going to text you sometimes. You will know if a man is pursuing you, okay? You won't ever have to wonder, does he like me? Does he like me? No, you're going to know. You're going to know. And you may not get to see him all the time, but he's always going to come and try to have a connection with you. And it's going to be clear that he is interested in you romantically, not as a buddy. We're buddies. It's going to be like, I like you. And he's going to tell you. Men, he's going to tell you, I like you. I want to get to know you. That's how you know he likes you, when he verbalizes it out of his mouth. I like you. The chemistry's there. Y'all are getting to know each other, and be careful with chemistry because, this is, you need more than chemistry to build a foundation. But I'm just saying, like, it's going to flow very naturally, and he's going to be clear about his intentions with you. That's the thing about, I feel like, masculine men. I feel like they are very direct with their approach. I don't feel like they play a lot of games in that area. My husband was not a game player. Like, he wasn't trying to play games, giving mixed signals. Men don't give a lot of mixed signals. Their actions tell you everything. Exactly, Kat. Men just don't do that. I don't know why women say men play games all the time. Yeah, those are the men you don't want. They don't play games. They tell you straight up, no, I can't do that, or no, or they just don't ask you out, or they just ghost you, or they don't play games like women do. That's not true. That's a myth that men play games like that. Some men do if they're trying to play you. If they're trying to play you, they may play games. That's how you know he's trying to play you. But men are very direct. They really pursue who they want. They really do. That doesn't mean he's going to take you out every weekend. If he's busy, if he's in school, if he's working towards something, if he has a stressful job, you can't expect a man to be like your girlfriend. A relationship is not like a relationship with your girlfriend. And that's something that I had to learn. Like, my husband needs time to do what he needs to do. And I need to be doing what I need to do. And I think that's the same thing in dating. You need to maintain your own life, your own lifestyle, your own interests. And you need to give that man space to be able to do what he needs to do. And he doesn't need to feel like you're a burden. Like, oh, this girl's a burden. She's too needy. She wants too much too soon. Just let things happen naturally. And it should progress pretty well if it's meant to be. All right, guys. So that's all I have for dating as a traditional woman. If you're divorced, tell the truth. Get a social life, get back out there into the dating world, because things have changed and you need to understand what it's like to talk to men again and get out here with men. Be honest about the fact that you're divorced, especially if you have children, because, I think men are more gracious in that area. If you are a single mom, be very careful about how you present yourself online. Be very careful about your reputation. Be very careful about that so that you don't fit in any stereotypical boxes that people have about single moms, just like people put Black women in stereotypical boxes. So that's what we're talking about. We're not talking about judgment or, oh, you're a bad person. No, we're not talking about that. We're talking about how people view us through their lens based in classism. And there is a certain class where people just don't do that. That's not what people do. They do it in marriage. It's taboo. There's a certain class of people that will get rid of their pregnancy. They will terminate their pregnancy. There are plenty of women that will terminate their pregnancy before becoming a single mom. They will terminate it because they know they're going to have to navigate in a different way. And so you have chosen not to terminate your pregnancy, or maybe it was conceived in what you thought was a loving relationship, just didn't result in marriage. So you did the right thing in God's eyes to have your child. So now you need to hold yourself up with dignity and respect, and not be twerking online, and not be out here taking thotty pictures for Instagram. And you need to be acting like a mother, okay? Because I see the most thotty women on Instagram are mothers. I'm just gonna, let me do this little rant before I get out of here. That should be the most wholesome looking person on social media. You should be the person that's still sexy, still young, still look good, but you should be the person that looks the most classy online. You should be the person that people look to like, wow, that woman has her stuff together. She's gorgeous, she's beautiful, she still looks good. You shouldn't be the Instagram thought of the month and you have a child. What traditional man is about to scoop you up? Who? We're not talking about basketball wives. We're not talking about celebrities. We're talking about these high quality men that y'all say y'all want. But yet when I scroll, when a woman inboxes me and she's like, well, I'm a single mom and I'm having trouble with, dating or whatever. And then I go to her page and it looks like she needs to be on OnlyFans because she has all these little sexually over sexualized pictures up. And you're somebody's mom? Shouldn't this be for your man in your bedroom? Why is this online for social media and you're somebody's whole parent? I don't understand that. And I do tell the women that I work with, like, stop. What are you doing? You say you want a good man? Well, how you gonna get a good man like this? How you gonna get a man doing this? Don't you have, where's your self-respect? Where's your self-respect? Not only for yourself, but for the fact that your child is going to be able to see this one day. Where is the respect for the fact that you're going to embarrass your own child? So don't tell me you want traditional man and you are on Instagram naked. I mean, I just don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. You are embarrassing your kids. And there's not enough women online saying that. I don't understand why there's not enough women online saying you are embarrassing your children. You're embarrassing yourself. Not only are you embarrassing yourself, you're embarrassing your children. I'd be embarrassed if my mother did that. Thank God I have a traditional, old-fashioned, old mother. There's a woman that 3 kids that twerk on YouTube all the time. Yeah. Maybe that's what they use, thoughtness, to provide dancers and such. Well, yeah, but they shouldn't be looking for traditional men. The dancers should be looking for men like them that do questionable things for money. But they aren't traditional women. So I'm not talking about those women. I'm not talking about the strippers or the sex workers. I expect them to do that. No judgment towards them, because they are not the women that are professing to be good women, okay? They are not the women online saying, I want a good man. I want this, I want that. And if they are, they're just delusional, But you guys are telling me I'm a traditional woman, okay? I want a faithful husband. I want a family. I want to raise my kids with, in a loving environment. That's what you guys are telling me. So if I go to your page and it's contradictory, then I don't believe that's what you really want. I'm not talking about the strippers and the dancers and the sex workers, because that's their business. That's what they do. They're not traditional women, and they're not presenting themselves as traditional women. Their business is sex work. So, I mean, that's two different, no shade to them. They doing what they do. So, I mean, feminist-minded women don't care about children. Yes, they don't. They don't care about children. They really don't care about their children, because if you cared about your children, you wouldn't do what you're doing. If you truly cared about your children, you wouldn't do it. And y'all know I work with children. I work with children that parents on drugs, parents doing all kinds of stuff. Parents got men coming in and out of their house. Parents have men touching them. And this is why children is a very sensitive topic for me. I get very emotional when I start talking about children, because I'm so jaded in that area of seeing poor parenting. Like, it's very personal for me, because I've had so many young girls come tell me they've been touched by their mother's boyfriend. They've been touched by a family member. And I don't play, I just don't, you get no respect from me and you get no mercy from me if you cannot, understand that you need to protect your children. Why did you have them? What did you have them for? It's an option. So I don't get it. What did you have them for? If you're not going to protect them, and if you're not going to make sure your boyfriend doesn't touch them, and if you're not going to choose the right man to be their father, why did you have them? Because it's not right. And so we have a whole foster care system, children who've been cast to the side. Everything is not a happy ending that we see on Instagram. There are a lot of abused children, mentally, physically, and emotionally. And anytime we promote anything that hurts children, whether it be taking away their gender and confusing them, or whether it be the children who are being molested, or the children who are being not taken care of in the proper way, it is everybody's job to speak out about that, because that is not okay. Children can't fight for themselves. Their parents are supposed to fight for them. And, that's just, I've worked with children my whole life, and it's been hard. It's been hard seeing that. It really has. It's been hard seeing some of the environments that children are growing in. So if y'all want to be like, oh, you're harsh. Yes, I'm harsh because children are innocent and they don't ask to be born. That's why I'm harsh when it comes to that, because you should be better and you should do better. Okay? So that's it, you guys. Thank you so much for joining me. Let me know your feedback. Hit me up on Instagram. Let me know what topics you want to discuss. Don't take anything personal. This is not a personal attack against anybody. We've all made mistakes. We are all sinners. We are all working on ourselves. But I have to keep it real. I really do. I have to keep it real when it comes to topics that people refuse to talk about. These are taboo topics. This is a taboo topic. And I have to be honest about it because nobody else wants to be, except the anti-socialite. Y'all go follow her. Subscribe to the anti-socialite. She has, the anti-social socialite. Subscribe to her, ladies. I mentioned her in my last video. She is so good. You think I'm hardcore. She's hardcore. Like, she's real hardcore. And that's why I love that she's what's the word? Anonymity? Yeah, she's in anonymity, so you can't really see what she looks like, which I think is very smart, especially if you have a professional job or whatever. So she keeps herself private, but her content is on point. On point, on point, on point. So y'all need to go into the chat and subscribe to the anti-social socialite, because she has very good commentary about feminism and about women and about some of the destruction of society. And don't be offended. She lays it out. She lays it out bare, but she's trying to help. And I think we need more women that come out and try to help. So I will see you guys next time. Bye.